Okay, this is an exciting one. Those are the pipes for our underfloor heating, and the final, I suppose, part of the foundations before the kit actually starts getting built. The kit is now delivered, it's down there at the bottom of the road, some of it's up here. And remember, what we've done is I haven't done any of this, but the amazing builders at Tor have dug out the foundations using the rock breaker. There was a layer of concrete then put in. On top of that, the blocks were put in to create the block layer of foundations. Then they filled it with hardcore and fines that we actually had up here at the site already. Then another layer of concrete went in to create the concrete pad. God, amazing to actually see it finally starting to come together. Now all your pipe work and various things have been popped out of there where water's coming in and out, conduits for power, all of that stuff. But then the underfloor insulation was put on. That was the stuff that was getting blown around in the storm recently. That's 150 mil of underfloor insulation, really thick insulation. It's going to be very toasty inside this house. All of that's been put in with enough, I don't know, what is that, 3 or 4 inches above that, where the pipework is now being laid, and then the final layer of concrete will be put on that. The final screed, as it's known, like a really smooth layer of concrete on top of it all. So to me, this is like the end of the foundation stage. You've got your pipework in, you've got the layout of the house made, you've got the foundations done, the last of the concretes to go in. After this, you start building a kit. Like it's kind of mind-blowing. So it looks like Daisy has found the pipework. You found the pipes, pet. This here is the underfloor piping. So, what is it? FloorTech, 5-layer, leak-proof, complete system assurance underfloor heating. But yeah, you can basically see it as flexible pipe. All of this is distributed around the house in a network to be encased in the concrete to heat our feet underneath us. This was so fun watching them put it together earlier today because this is where you got to see them. It was like a real life game of The Sims. They actually marked out the shape of the house. You can see the orange here where the underfloor heating isn't going. That is your cupboards and the like. You can see the bathroom here with the shower pan and toilet and the like. This is the bath. I'm actually standing in the cupboard for the spare room. There's our ensuite and the walk-in wardrobe and the like. And it snakes all the way through, and every single pipe obviously starts and leads back to the kind of boiler room closet there, where the water is going to be heated and sent throughout the house. But yeah, no, off. Now, one thing I should say actually, if you're an underfloor heating technician, if you know all the ins and outs about how this is done and the ways that you would have done it, or maybe maximized the efficiency of it by changing this design, what I would say to you is keep it to yourself, because I don't want to know, because by the time you have written that comment, this will be covered in concrete and dry, and I don't need to know about what we could have done better or what you would have done better. I'm so excited. This has just always been such a luxury and such a dream. Now, the next part is a little bit weather dependent. Hopefully tomorrow they will pour a layer of concrete, I don't know what that is, a couple inches deep, and that's going to cover all of the pipework under the floor here. And then that is it. You now have your nice, solid, smooth concrete pad foundations, underfloor heating installed, pipework, conduits all in. And really the next thing, the only thing that's left to do is put the kit up, which of course has now been delivered to the island. Incredibly exciting. I think things are also going to get a lot more exciting because every day now, more and more of the house is going to take shape. Walls, roof, trusses, cladding, everything. Super exciting. What a perfect day for it as well. You've got that amazing view out there. Makes you really appreciate it. Oh, I think, you know what I should do? I wanted to do this for a while. I built this style, I think in 2020 or 2019, and it has almost fallen apart. But I've captured so much footage while on this style of this house site. I feel like I should get one and see if I can compare. Right, get out of the way! Right, let me down! Let me down! I think one of the things I'd be most proud of is how much of the foundations actually managed to take material that we had already gathered. We had gathered a lot of kind of hardcore fines, as we call it, which were used to create the road up here. And quite a lot of that has actually gone into the concrete pad. Annoyingly, you might notice in the videos, there's a lovely, shot of what this site looked like beforehand, then with the founds being excavated, then the first pour, then the brickwork, and then there's this kind of skip and it comes to this. And that's because I accidentally deleted the footage that I had taken of them doing the amazing, gigantic pour of concrete. So I missed all of that. Or you guys missed all of that. I've got no footage of that whatsoever, which is, I think I've got like one clip of what this thing looked like with the actual concrete on it. But you live and you learn. There's too many gigabytes of footage flying around for me to keep track of them all. Okay, first time seeing the founds. Oh, careful, of course, there's concrete on the ground. Make sure and wash Daisy's paws when we get back in. There it is.
There it is indeed.
Fully enclosed.
And professional pipe cutters.
That looks great. So this is our floor, we will be putting the flooring onto the top of this. Fan-dabby-dozy. Okay, so welcome to a, bright and contrasty day. I don't know how well you can even see me, but it's a gorgeous day here. Lovely breeze, not a cloud in the sky. The only thing you can see are the various streaks from planes flying over to America up in the sky above us. But today I'm in the woods. I'm actually at my road. I want to take a closer look at the road that we made for the site, because we are now at the point where the kit still has to come up, but the foundations are in. Most of the really heavy work in terms of tractors, telehandlers, lorries coming up, moving supplies back and forth, we've seen a good solid 2 months of that now. So I wanted to take a closer look at how the road is held up. Maybe I'll show you a little bit about how we made it. And at the very least, I'd like to just take a rake and scrape some of the loose gravel from the sides and the center that start to accumulate more into the middle. If any of you know anything about Raasay, probably the most famous thing about Raasay is the fact that there is a road in the north called Calms Road. So unfortunately that name is taken, but maybe we could just call this Calms Road 2, Electric Boogaloo. But anyway, let's take a closer look. So there was always a sort of track that led from down in this direction up there to the top of the hill through this forest up here. But by the time I rediscovered that site back in 2020, you couldn't really make anything out. I mean, as you guys probably have seen in the footage that I've posted already, it was almost impenetrable with the amount of rhododendrons and the like that were here. And down here was a little bit of a scrapyard. There was old trailers, loads of old windows and broken glass. There was, if I remember correctly, there was a trailer that actually had the mechanics from the old telephone exchange on it as well too. All sorts of bizarre stuff. But one of the things that I love the most about this site, something that I love about Raasay, especially in the south here, is just how green it is. There are so many trees, it's so unbelievably lush. We have this beautiful crop of Scots pines. And I was really adamant that I didn't want to knock down any of the trees or just blast through this land and put in a big straight road. That's why the road sort of winds up in this very odd direction between all the trees to get up to the house site itself. Now, most of these trees only have maybe about 40 or 60 years left. They're quite old at this point, and there hasn't been much new tree growth in the last 20 or 30 years because the rhododendrons have gotten so thick, it's basically blocked out any chance of new saplings coming through. That's something that I want to remedy, planting new trees here. But to get a road through here and get a road from the main road down there up to the house site and winding through the forest that we do have, we had to be quite careful because you have to try and mitigate damage to the root systems. And part of the planning process and applying for planning meant that we had to come up with a way of getting the road up there that wouldn't damage the root systems, because if you pile a whole bunch of stone and build a road in a normal way, it could sink down, damage the roots, kill the trees or make the trees unstable and then fall onto the road and the like. What we ended up doing was using something called geocells, or a root protection road system that basically sat on top of the roots and on top of the ground, and then gravel was poured on top of. So you can actually kind of see them here. This is the top of the cells. They've been exposed by the fact that we've had lorry after lorry driving over the top of this, and it's been pushing the gravel to the middle and to the sides there. But this is what the cells look like, and they have been filled up to the top with this gravel, which I actually got in 2 or 3 separate lorry loads from Sconser, just across the water over on Skye, at tremendous expense. But all of these had to be laid down, all the cells for the whole length of the road, and then each one had to be filled. We had to do it by hand because you weren't able to use heavy machinery that could also then damage the roots until the road was down. So it was a long process. So this maybe gives you a little bit of a better idea. These wood supports here at either side hold in the gravel, because remember, technically this stuff is sitting on top of the ground, even though I've now sort of built this soil up around it. I think a lot of these geocell systems were actually developed a lot of the time by like the army and militaries, so that you could put down very quick, very temporary road systems on things like bogs and going through forests and the like, and then you could literally drive a tank on top of this, and the cells will spread the weight out and sort of interlock with each other and all the bits of gravel, allowing it to support that weight without it sinking down into the ground, or in this case, damaging the roots. Now, this here is actually one of the few bits of the geocell root protection system that I have left. You can see that basically you have these sort of honeycomb shapes. They come in, I think, 7 by 5 meter lengths or 7 by 6 meter lengths. And what you get is little bits of like metal rebar or any kind of wooden stake. Stake them in, pin it out over a large area, like you're stretching out a tarpaulin or something like that. And they take a lot of gravel, these things. It took us a long time. It was probably about 4 or 5 months of doing this kind of part-time in between other things, getting this road all the way through and all the way down there to the bottom. And I must say though, it's held up very well. We have had months now, weeks of vans and lorries coming up and down here constantly, several times a day. And the gravel is being pushed to the edges, but not too badly. And my hope is maybe if I just get the rake, I can just pull some of the gravel in, pile it up. And what I don't really want is these plastic edges of the geocells becoming exposed, mainly because they don't look very nice. I think, but also you don't want the cells then starting to break apart this early on. Anyway, let's get a rake and we'll start trying to tidy this up. The amount of lorries and stuff that have been driving up and down here, and big stuff too, telehandlers, tractors, tractor trailers. This bit was actually, I think, where it was at its thinnest as well too, and we're on the slope. So one of the big advantages of these geocell things is the fact that it stops gravel from running down a hill. This is quite a steep slope, and if the gravel had just been sitting here on its own, it would have already, most of it would have just naturally started to roll down here from all the traffic going up and down. But the geocells keep it all nice and contained. So just for that reason alone, I really, really like these. I think if you were ever considering putting a gravel drive onto a really steep slope, they'd be worth looking at for that reason alone. A lot of these trees are getting to the end of their life, but the only one that really worries me is this one. Because you might notice how much it's leaning over. It's at quite a jaunty angle. I don't know why, I think it's just grown this way. You might be able to see though, there's actually this weird shape under here. That actually comes from where, over the years, there was a bunch of old metal window panes wedged against it. And they sort of grew around it. At one point, they were basically supporting and holding the entire tree up. And I thought, when we took those window panes out, that the whole tree was going to fall over. But it's still staying here. These old windows are probably the only thing holding this tree up. But yeah, I don't know how long this one's got left, although the leaves look pretty healthy. You can actually see there, there's like a pile of fines, smaller stone, and there's a pile of bigger stone. That's sort of where the next section of the road will go. It'll go down that way and connect over to the main road. Right now it goes that way, but that's just a temporary track. So one day this road will stretch down in front of us. I'll have to remember where I've put the camera so I can just compare it and contrast it in years to come. Right, looks all right. Honestly, it's one invasive weed after another, because well, behind us there's the Roddies. Obviously this whole area has been cleared, but now we've got these reeds coming through. I don't know exactly the name of them, probably because the ground's so wet and marshy. And last year we trimmed them, and my dad actually sprayed them with a weed killer, which has done really well. It's stopped a lot of them coming through, but you can see them growing back up in patches. So I think what I need to do is get the strimmer up here again, strim them again, and then see if we can get the weed killer on them. Ugh, bloomin' typical. Can't win. It's nothing like working on your own road. You could just potter about here, picking up rocks, fixing wee bits and pieces, making it look nice. And at the end of the day, it's all for you. You can just admire it. Oh.